after we cut it in half, I just grabbed the two hindquarter legs and just basically the end of the torso and just tossed it over my shoulder like a sack of potatoes, and I just had the legs leaning on my shoulder like this, and I could just feel the blood dripping down from the cut that we cut the deer in half onto my backpack. I just kind of thought to myself as we're doing this, like, wow, like all the stuff on the internet I worry about, it doesn't matter right now. Welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be sharing my experience with my first hunting trip. I went white-tailed deer hunting for the first time a month ago, and I wanted to share some highlights of what I learned. I've been pretty much a city slicker my entire life. Grew up in the suburbs outside of a big city, and while I had some relatives that hunted in the past, it's kind of an American thing, obviously, but I never really was around it that much. And so, first time opportunity when I'm 25 to go hunt, I was a little nervous, to be honest. And I thought it was going to be grosser than it actually was. We ended up getting 3 deer. A group of 8 of us got 3 deer over the course of a couple days hunting. It was fun. I really enjoyed it, actually. Learning the tricks of the trade, how to skin a deer, how to field dress it and strip it, get all the guts out after you shoot it and everything. That was really interesting. I actually enjoyed that a lot more than I thought I would. I personally didn't shoot one, but 3 of the 8 of us got a deer, and I think that's pretty much a win in our books. It's primal, it's something that, we're super removed now if you're in modern society because you just buy food from the grocery store, but that's what our ancestors did for thousands of years, right? Um, and it's really something that you kind of forget about, like, oh yeah, people live like this still when you're always online, chronically online, right? And not doing real experiences. But people out there are still living their normal lives, doing cool things like this, reconnecting with nature, living in nature. It's something special. It's something special. So over the course of 2.5 days, we hunted, and that kind of consists of waking up at 4 a.m. in the morning, getting all dressed and ready to go, going out to the hunting location. We were on public land in this case, and kind of setting up posts so you can kind of see different areas of like gorges or valleys that deer could come through, setting up opposite of the wind so they don't actually smell you, and you kind of just sit around for hours. Thankfully, the weather was good. It was really nice weather during the mornings and late evenings when we were out hunting, but despite it sounding just kind of like sitting around watching nature, it was surprisingly detoxing. Um, at least for me, I have my phone on me all the time, and I'm always listening to something, whether in the claim of being productive with my time or just um, not being bored. Right? I don't want to be bored. I'm bored doing this, doing that, so I want to listen to something, watch something, etc. Always being entertained, right? And being forced to be quiet, focus, and just look around and hear and listen for sounds of any kind, footsteps, etc., felt really strange for my brain, to be honest. It was kind of like, for the first hour, I was just kind of like, wow, what am I doing here? And then after that, I just kind of reset, and I was in. I didn't feel like the time passed extremely slowly. Um, it felt natural just to do that, just to sit there with your rifle across your lap and just wait for the deer. Yeah, it was obviously my first time doing that, and it was a very strange and new experience. But I enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be more boring than it actually was. I thought it was going to be the actual dressing and field strip of the deer. I thought that was going to be much more gross than it actually was. I thought it was, after the first initial reaction, I got used to it very quickly. With the communal bond you get, the camaraderie you get with men of doing that together, as the 7 people I was with have all been longtime friends or acquaintances. But it was just kind of crazy how, once we got the first deer, we all kind of came together. Um, you know, the more experienced of us, I was my first time hunting. There was a couple other people their first time hunting, but we got to watch as they were, stripping the deer out. That whole process, it was just primal. It felt natural to do this. I think we get our groceries and food and etc. meats all from the grocery store, right? And you kind of forget, like, oh, this is how, like, a lot of people do it still in the world and for thousands of years in the past, right? And the sense of community and camaraderie you got when we kind of as a group came together after the first deer was killed, kind of field stripped it and helped to track it back to the vehicles. I feel like this is what we're made to do, right? We're made to be in a group like this, working as a team, and especially if you're like chronically online, like I feel like I am to a certain extent. You just don't get that experience. Like, sure, you can watch someone on a video from you, and you can empathize or sympathize with their perspective or personality, and you can have a laugh, but it's not anything like seeing someone to your left and right, you know, hold the leg as you're kind of skinning down the body. That's of a deer that you guys just shot like 30 minutes ago, and the body's still warm. That's a totally different experience, and something I really appreciated. And not to sound too deep into this, it was obviously a fun activity to go with friends and do this, but I thought it was a really good experience for me. And I don't know if you guys are in the suburbs your entire life, haven't really gone out hunting or anything, but if you have a relative, you have a friend that has that experience, that would be willing to kind of show you the ropes and to kind of take you along, I'd recommend it. I thought it was a really good experience. Even if you don't become like a serious hunter, I think it's really good to kind of connect with that and see kind of the day-to-day life of someone who would do that naturally. I think another factor that I was impressed by was just the quietness of nature. You get out there at 4 a.m. in the morning, you kind of set up at your post, have your rifle across your knees kind of thing, or if you're in a blind, you're up there, and you're just kind of posted out there for 30 minutes, an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, just kind of looking around, hearing the birds chirp with, no intention of looking at your phone, even if you have cell service, right? Because you're focused on looking for that deer, right? That's all you care about in the moment. And just having no distractions like that was just so, it was like taking a cold plunge. It was just refreshing, right? And just being disconnected from your phone for even just a couple hours felt really refreshing. And just kind of feel what it is to feel human, right? Doing things that your ancestors would naturally do for thousands of years, right? And in particular, I have a story of one of my buddies shot one of the deer, right? He went and got me and another guy to go help him carry the stuff, the deer back, because we were a long ways from the car. And it was getting really dark. It was probably 6 p.m. and we're running out of time. We need to get to the car and get this back home and actually skin it and everything like that and get the cut ready. And so we end up cutting the deer in half, and my buddy who shot it ended up dragging the front half, so basically the rib and head upwards, basically the rib and upwards, and I carried the hindquarters. And so I just after we cut it in half, I just grabbed the two hindquarter legs and just basically the end of the torso and just tossed it over my shoulder like a sack of potatoes, and I just had the legs leaning on my shoulder like this, and I could just feel the blood dripping down from the cut that we cut the deer in half onto my backpack. But it just felt really primal. So we're just kind of walking up and down hills, getting back to the car. As we're going up and down these wooded valleys, trying not to stumble and fall over, right? I just kind of thought to myself as we're doing this, I'm like, wow, like all the stuff on the internet I worry about, it doesn't matter right now. Nothing else matters. Nothing else matters in this moment. And no one knows about it other than us, right? And it's just surreal in nature by itself, happening organically. No one's there to watch, and I wouldn't want anyone to watch anyway. It's just part of our group, right? And that was kind of stupid, I guess. That was probably kind of stupid to just kind of think like that. But I think it's just something that marks and shows the just focus on attention now in our society, is that I'm walking down with half a deer on my back, and it's just kind of bleeding out the rest of its blood onto my back as we're walking through this wooded valleys. Imagine if people like took a moment and like took a photo and put it on Instagram. Like, who would do that? That's so dumb, right? Like, you're in the moment. Just enjoy that moment, right? And that was kind of my natural reaction for a moment, just like, wow, this is strange to not like think about posting it on social media or text someone about it. You're just kind of in the moment, enjoying it with your close friends there. And it's just happening. It's just live right there. And I thought that was a really good point to kind of summarize is that the hunting trip was really an opportunity to just reconnect with nature and just re-find silence. I find that I'm always listening to something. There's always some kind of noise in my mind or on my phone. And just have total concentration on being quiet, on waiting for the perfect opportunity, and listening. I thought that was more helpful than I thought it would be. So I'll leave you with that.